Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yuninda and today I will talk about narrative inquiry and example narrative inquiry. Narrative inquiry is records the experience of individual or small group, revealing that lived experience of or particular perspective of the individual, usually primarily through interview, which is then recorded and ordered into a chronological narrative. Narrative inquiry or narrative analysis emerged as a discipline from within the broader field of qualitative research in the early 20th century. The author records as biography, life history, or in the case of older or ancient traditional story recording, oral history. And according to Barner, 1985, paradigmatic type narrative inquiry collects story for its data and use paradigmatic analytic procedure to generate taxonomies and categories of common elements across the database. Narrative type inquiry collects event and occurrence as its data and use narrative analytical procedure to produce explanatory stories. Narrative inquiry has been employed as a tool for analysis in the field of cognitive science, organizational study, knowledge theory, applied linguistics, sociology, optional science, and education study, among others. Other approaches include the development of quantitative methods and tools based on the large volume capture of fragmented anecdotal material, and that which is self-significant or indexed at the point of capture. And the background of narrative inquiry is a form of qualitative research that emerged in the field of management science and later also development in the field of knowledge management, which share the sphere of information management. It has been noted the narrative case study were used by friends in the field of psychology and biographies were used in sociology in the early 20th century. This narrative inquiry focuses on the organization of human knowledge more than merely the collection and processing of data. It also implies that knowledge itself is considered valuable and not worthy even when known by only one person. In a narrative inquiry, you can use the following methods. And the first method is interview, the second qualitative survey, and then record oral history or document can be used to support correlation and triangulation of information mentioned in interviews. And the last method is focus group, can be used where the focus is a small group or community. Example for narrative inquiry is the objective by the end of the workshop participant will have knowledge of narrative inquiry as a qualitative research technique, understand the benefit which narrative inquiry and story offer for understanding people, life experience, and meaning, then be able to demonstrate knowledge of the theory of narrative analysis, then have an awareness of the different types of narrative analysis that can be employed in practice, have conducted their own narrative inquiry using a variety of tests and or image, and then understand the additional benefit of through the use of self-narrative, and then can be aware of the practical and ethical issue which must which must be considered when conducting narrative inquiry. I think this enough talk about narrative inquiry. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.